Number 1. The 1964 Ford Fairlane 500. In my opinion, this 1964 Ford Fairlane 500 is a great example of a classic American sedan that focuses on honesty and usability rather than flashy modifications or expensive restorations. While it may not be the rarest Fairlane on the market, it appears to be the kind of vintage car that can simply be enjoyed for what it is, a dependable cruiser with plenty of old-school charm. Finished in black with a red interior, this Fairlane has a color combination that gives it a classy yet sporty appearance. The contrast between the dark exterior and bright interior captures the styling trends of the mid-1960s and helps the car stand out without looking overdone. As a four-door model, it also offers more practicality than its two-door counterpart, making it an excellent choice for owners who want to share the experience with family or friends. Power comes from Ford's 260 cubic inch V8, paired with an automatic transmission. Although the 260 isn't the biggest engine offered during the era, it has earned a reputation for being smooth, dependable, and easy to maintain. Rather than being a high-performance muscle car, this Fairlane was built to provide comfortable everyday driving, and I think that's exactly where its appeal lies. Sometimes it's nice to own a classic that doesn't demand constant attention or encourage you to drive it aggressively. Instead, it invites you to relax, enjoy the sound of the V8, and appreciate the simplicity of vintage American engineering. According to the seller, the car runs and drives well, which is one of the most important qualities any classic vehicle can have. A vintage car that starts reliably and can be driven immediately is often far more enjoyable than one that's stuck in the middle of an endless restoration project. The seller also describes it as a pretty nice original car, and personally, I think originality is becoming more valuable every year. Preserved classics often tell a much more authentic story than heavily modified examples. Of course, the Fairlane isn't without its imperfections. The seller mentions paint chips, scratches, and other cosmetic flaws, but to me, those are fairly minor issues on a vehicle that's over 60 years old. In fact, small imperfections can actually make a classic feel more approachable because you won't constantly worry about every tiny mark or stone chip while enjoying it on the road. Another thing I like is the asking price. At $8,000, this Fairlane sits well below the cost of many restored classics, making it an attractive option for someone who wants to enter the hobby without making a huge financial commitment. It could be driven exactly as it is, or gradually improved over time as the owner chooses. Overall, I believe this 1964 Ford Fairlane 500 offers honest value. It combines classic styling, a dependable small block V8, automatic transmission, and what appears to be a largely original presentation. It may not be a high-powered muscle car, but for someone looking for an affordable vintage Ford that's ready to cruise and easy to enjoy, I think this Fairlane represents a very appealing opportunity. Number 2. 1966 Ford Fairlane 500. In my opinion, this 1966 Ford Fairlane 500 is a perfect example of how simplicity can make a classic car truly appealing. It doesn't rely on massive horsepower, expensive custom modifications, or flashy paintwork to stand out. Instead, it offers a timeless design, a dependable small block V8, and a rare manual transmission setup that gives it plenty of vintage character. Located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, this Fairlane is listed for $20,000 and shows approximately 87,000 miles on the odometer. The seller describes it as being powered by Ford's legendary 289 cubic inch V8, paired with a 3-speed manual transmission shifted on the steering column, commonly referred to as 3 on the tree. In my opinion, that's one of the most interesting features of the car. While most enthusiasts immediately think of floor-shift 4-speeds, a column-shift manual offers an authentic driving experience that has become increasingly rare to find today. The exterior is finished in black with a contrasting white roof, while the interior features a striking red color scheme. Personally, I think this is one of the best combinations you could choose for a mid-1960s Fairlane. The black paint gives the car an elegant, almost formal appearance, while the red interior adds just enough personality to remind you that this is still a classic American V8. Under the hood, the 289 V8 has long been recognized as one of Ford's most dependable and versatile engines. It may not produce the huge numbers of a big block FE engine, but what it offers is smooth performance, proven reliability, and relatively low maintenance. In my opinion, that makes this Fairlane an excellent weekend cruiser that can also be enjoyed on longer road trips without many of the concerns associated with more highly modified classics. Another feature that immediately caught my attention is the inclusion of both power steering and power brakes. Those options make a noticeable difference when driving a classic car in modern traffic. Steering becomes lighter at lower speeds, while power-assisted brakes provide greater confidence and comfort behind the wheel. They may seem like small details, but together they significantly improve the overall driving experience. One aspect I particularly appreciate is that the seller includes receipts documenting work completed by the previous owner. Documentation is always valuable when purchasing a classic vehicle because it helps establish the car's maintenance history and provides buyers with greater confidence in the investment. Even if every receipt isn't for major repairs, having paperwork is always better than relying solely on verbal descriptions. Unlike many heavily modified fairlanes, this one appears to retain much of its original personality. Rather than transforming it into a race car or pro touring build, the focus seems to have been on preserving its classic charm while maintaining dependable drivability. Personally, I think that's exactly what many buyers are looking for today, a vintage Ford that still feels like a vintage Ford. The 1966 Fairlane also occupies an interesting place in Ford history. It shares much of the styling language that would influence later muscle cars while maintaining the clean, balanced proportions that made the Fairlane such a popular intermediate platform during the 1960s. As values continue to rise for Mustangs and high-performance Fairlanes, well-kept small-block models like this are becoming increasingly attractive alternatives. Overall, this 1966 Ford Fairlane 500 appears to be a well-preserved classic featuring a reliable 289 V8, a rare 3-on-the-tree manual transmission, power steering, power brakes, documented maintenance history, and an eye-catching black and red color combination. In my opinion, it's an honest, enjoyable American classic that prioritizes authenticity, comfort, and timeless style over excessive modifications, making it an excellent choice for anyone looking to experience the charm of a true 1960s Ford. Number 3. This 1968 Ford Galaxie 500 is a perfect example of a full-size American classic that hides serious performance beneath its understated appearance. At first glance, it looks like a clean vintage cruiser, but once you take a closer look at what's under the hood, it becomes clear that this is far more than an ordinary Galaxie. Finished in white with a red interior, the car maintains the timeless styling that made Ford's late 60s full-size lineup so popular. The color combination gives it a traditional look, while the original interior helps preserve much of the car's classic character. According to the seller, this is a rust-free, two-owner vehicle showing just over 37,000 miles, making it an especially appealing starting point for a high-performance build. The biggest highlight is undoubtedly the engine. Instead of the factory power plant, this Galaxie now houses a massive 429 cubic inch Ford V8 that has been professionally stroked to an incredible 552 cubic inches. The seller estimates the output at approximately 600 horsepower and even includes the engine build sheet, providing additional confidence for anyone interested in the mechanical details. With that much displacement and horsepower, this is the kind of engine that delivers enormous torque throughout the rev range, making the car feel effortlessly powerful. Backing the engine is Ford's durable C6 automatic transmission equipped with a 2,500 revolutions per minute stall converter. This setup is well suited for a high-powered street car, offering smooth everyday driving while allowing the engine to reach its power band more effectively during hard acceleration. The drivetrain is completed by the legendary Ford 9-inch rear axle with a limited slip differential, one of the strongest and most respected rear ends ever installed in American performance cars. Despite its impressive horsepower, the seller describes the car as having excellent street manners and being a great driver. That's an important point because building a powerful engine is one thing, but making a 600 horsepower classic enjoyable to drive on public roads is something entirely different. If the description is accurate, this Galaxie appears to achieve that balance remarkably well. The fact that the body is rust-free also adds significant value. Large full-size classics can be expensive to restore structurally, so finding one with a solid body allows buyers to focus on enjoying the car instead of tackling major rust repairs. Combined with the original interior, the Galaxie manages to retain much of its authentic personality while delivering performance that is on a completely different level from stock. In my opinion, this is one of those sleeper builds that deserves attention. From the outside, it still looks like a respectable late 60s family cruiser, but underneath it's hiding an engine capable of outperforming many traditional muscle cars. That's part of its charm. You get the comfort and presence of a full-size Ford with the heart of a serious street machine. At an asking price of $15,000 or best offer, this 1968 Ford Galaxie 500 appears to offer exceptional value. Considering the cost of building a 552 cubic inch Ford engine, upgrading the transmission, installing a Ford 9-inch rear end, and starting with a rust-free body, it would likely cost considerably more to recreate this package today. For anyone looking for a powerful, unique, and highly usable classic that stands apart from the usual Mustang or Chevelle crowd, this Galaxie is certainly worth a closer look. Number 4. 1966 Pontiac Bonneville. The 1966 Pontiac Bonneville represents an era when American luxury cars were built with bold styling, powerful V8 engines, and an unmistakable presence on the road. As Pontiac's flagship full-size model during the mid-1960s, the Bonneville combined comfort with performance, making it one of the most desirable personal luxury cars of its time. Even today, these large Pontiacs continue to attract collectors who appreciate their elegant design and smooth cruising character. This particular Bonneville is a two-door sedan finished in blue with a contrasting white roof, a color combination that perfectly captures the spirit of the mid-1960s. The long body, sweeping fenders, and wide chrome trim give the car a commanding appearance that stands out whether it's parked at a local cruise night or driving down the highway. Even in project condition, it's easy to imagine how impressive this car could become after some careful restoration. Power comes from a Pontiac V8 engine, and according to the seller, the engine does run. That's an important advantage because finding a complete, running project often saves both time and money compared to starting with a non-running vehicle. The car is equipped with an automatic transmission, making it well suited for the relaxed driving experience these full-size Pontiacs were originally designed to deliver. The seller mentions that the Bonneville currently needs a radiator before it can be driven with confidence. Fortunately, that's a relatively straightforward mechanical repair compared to major engine or transmission work. The interior is described as fairly clean, which is another encouraging sign since restoring vintage interiors can quickly become one of the most expensive parts of any classic car project. Perhaps the biggest selling point is what the seller refers to as the car's good bones. In the world of classic car restoration, that's exactly what many enthusiasts hope to find. A solid foundation is often far more valuable than shiny paint hiding structural problems. While the car is being sold as is and clearly isn't a finished showpiece, it appears to offer a promising starting point for someone willing to invest the time and effort. Personally, what I like most about this Bonneville is its potential. Instead of paying premium money for a fully restored example, the next owner has the opportunity to bring this classic back to life while adding their own personal touches along the way. There's something especially rewarding about restoring a car that still retains its original character rather than buying one that's already completed. At an asking price of just $7,500, I think this 1966 Pontiac Bonneville could represent a very appealing value for the right buyer. It has a running V8, an attractive color combination, a reasonably clean interior, and what appears to be a solid platform for restoration. For Pontiac enthusiasts or anyone looking for a full-size American classic with plenty of personality, this Bonneville looks like a project that's definitely worth considering. Number 5. This 1970 Chevrolet Monte Carlo LT Coupe. The first-generation Chevrolet Monte Carlo has always occupied a unique place in the classic car world. Introduced as Chevrolet's personal luxury coupe, it combined muscle car styling with a more refined driving experience, making it one of the most recognizable GM cars of the early 1970s. This 1970 example, located in Paris, Ohio, is listed for $10,000 and presents an interesting opportunity for someone looking to complete a classic project rather than purchase a finished driver. At first glance, the red exterior paired with a black interior gives this Monte Carlo exactly the kind of appearance enthusiasts expect from an early first-generation model. The long hood, short rear deck, and flowing body lines remain some of the best-looking designs Chevrolet produced during the muscle car era. Even without knowing every detail of the paint and bodywork, the overall package still has plenty of visual appeal. However, the biggest thing to know about this car is that it is currently missing both its engine and transmission. That immediately places it in the project category, meaning the next owner should expect to invest additional time and money before the car returns to the road. On the positive side, the seller mentions that the original 402 cubic inch big block engine is still available and has already been rebuilt, although it would require additional payment beyond the asking price. For buyers who value matching components or period-correct restorations, having access to the original engine could be a significant advantage. Inside, the Monte Carlo is equipped with factory-style bucket seats and a center console with a floor shifter. Those are desirable features on a first-generation Monte Carlo because they give the cabin a much sportier appearance compared to the standard bench seat layout. Having these original interior pieces already in place could save both time and expense during the restoration process. The seller also notes that the car has a clean title and appears open to trading for a Corvette, suggesting some flexibility depending on the right offer. While the listing doesn't go into great detail about the body's condition, the fact that it is being presented as a complete rolling project rather than a dismantled shell is encouraging for anyone looking to build a classic Chevrolet from a solid foundation. In my opinion, this Monte Carlo is appealing because it gives the next owner the freedom to decide exactly what kind of car they want to build. Someone focused on originality could purchase the rebuilt 402 and return it to a factory-inspired configuration, while another enthusiast might choose a modern LS swap or another high-performance drivetrain. The beauty of starting with a rolling chassis is that the direction is entirely up to the builder. At $10,000, the value will ultimately depend on the overall condition of the body, frame, and included components. Those are the areas any serious buyer should inspect carefully before making a decision. But considering how desirable first-generation Monte Carlos have become, starting with a clean title car that already includes desirable interior options could make this a worthwhile project. Overall, this 1970 Chevrolet Monte Carlo offers a solid starting point for someone who enjoys building classic cars. It isn't a turnkey cruiser, but it has the styling, the potential, and the opportunity to become a very rewarding restoration or custom build in the hands of the right enthusiast. Number 6. The 1972 Pontiac Lemans. In my opinion, the 1972 Pontiac Lemans is one of the most underrated classics from the early 1970s. While many enthusiasts immediately focus on the GTO, the Lemans often flies under the radar, even though it shares much of the same styling and platform. That makes it an appealing choice for buyers who want the look and feel of a classic Pontiac without paying the premium prices that usually come with its more famous sibling. This particular example is finished in blue with a matching blue interior, giving it a very period-correct appearance that captures the spirit of the early 1970s. The color combination has a clean, elegant look, and it complements the Leman's long hood, sculpted body lines, and distinctive Pontiac front-end design. Even by today's standards, the car has a strong presence that stands out at local cruise nights or weekend car shows. According to the listing, this Lemans has approximately 73,250 miles and is equipped with an automatic transmission. The seller also states that the car has a clean title, has been paid off, and has no significant damage or known mechanical problems. While the description is brief and doesn't provide detailed specifications about the engine or recent maintenance, those basic details suggest that the vehicle has been cared for and is being offered as a solid driver rather than a restoration project. Personally, I think one of the biggest advantages of a car like this is its versatility. A Lemans can be enjoyed exactly as it sits, serving as a comfortable weekend cruiser, or it can become the foundation for future upgrades if the next owner wants to build something with a little more performance. Parts availability for these cars is generally good, and the aftermarket offers plenty of options for anyone looking to personalize the vehicle over time. Another aspect I appreciate is the asking price. At $14,500, this Lemans appears to be positioned well below the cost of many comparable muscle cars from the same era. That makes it an attractive option for enthusiasts who want to own a genuine early 1970s Pontiac without stretching their budget. Instead of chasing a much more expensive GTO, buyers could enjoy many of the same classic styling cues and driving characteristics at a significantly lower entry price. Overall, I believe this 1972 Pontiac Lemans offers a solid combination of affordability, classic styling, and everyday usability. While I would certainly want to inspect the car in person and learn more about its mechanical history before making a purchase, the information provided suggests it could be a very honest and enjoyable classic. For someone looking for a vintage Pontiac that's ready to drive today while still offering room for future improvements, I think this Lemans deserves serious consideration. Number 7. 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass S. In my opinion, this 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass S is exactly the kind of classic muscle-era car that appeals to enthusiasts who value a balance of performance, comfort, and everyday drivability. It doesn't appear to be an over-the-top race build or a heavily modified restomod. Instead, it offers the formula that made the Cutlass one of Oldsmobile's biggest successes, a reliable V8, comfortable features, and timeless styling that still turns heads more than 50 years later. Located in Massillon, Ohio, this Cutlass S is listed for $27,000 and shows just 51,750 miles on the odometer. The car is finished in a bright yellow exterior paired with a black interior, a color combination that immediately captures the spirit of the early 1970s. Personally, I think yellow works exceptionally well on the Cutlass body because it highlights the clean body lines and muscular proportions without being overly flashy. Power comes from Oldsmobile's well-known 350 Rocket V8, paired with an automatic transmission. The Rocket 350 has earned a strong reputation among enthusiasts for delivering smooth, dependable performance along with a deep V8 sound that many classic car buyers appreciate. While it may not have the displacement of Oldsmobile's legendary 455, the 350 Rocket remains a very enjoyable engine that offers a great mix of power, reliability, and easier maintenance. In my opinion, it's one of the best choices for someone who plans to actually drive their classic rather than simply display it. The seller states that the car runs and drives great and confidently says you could take it anywhere. I always like hearing that description because it suggests the vehicle is more than just a nice-looking classic. It implies that the car has been maintained well enough to inspire confidence on longer drives, cruise nights, or weekend road trips. Another major advantage is the factory comfort equipment. This Cutlass is equipped with air conditioning, power steering, and power brakes, three options that make a noticeable difference when driving a classic in today's traffic. Air conditioning helps keep summer cruises enjoyable, while power steering and power brakes make the car much easier to maneuver and significantly more comfortable during everyday driving. In my opinion, these features increase the overall usability of the vehicle without taking away from its vintage character. The relatively low mileage is another point worth mentioning. Although mileage on classic cars should always be considered alongside overall condition and maintenance history, just over 51,000 miles is certainly an attractive figure if accurate. Combined with the seller's description of the car's driving manners, it suggests that this Cutlass has likely been cared for throughout its life. Personally, I think one of the strongest aspects of this listing is its simplicity. There is no mention of radical engine swaps, oversized wheels, or extensive modifications. Instead, it appears to remain very close to its original formula, preserving the qualities that made the 1971 Cutlass S such a popular personal performance car when it was new. As interest in 1970s American muscle continues to grow, cars like this Cutlass are becoming increasingly attractive because they often offer comparable styling and driving enjoyment to more expensive Chevelles or GTOs while remaining relatively affordable. In my opinion, that makes this car an excellent value for enthusiasts looking to enter the classic muscle market without stretching into six-figure territory. Overall, this 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass S appears to be a well-preserved and highly usable classic equipped with a dependable 350 Rocket V8, automatic transmission, factory air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, and an attractive yellow over black color combination. In my opinion, it's an ideal classic cruiser that offers vintage muscle car style, comfortable road manners, and the kind of reliability that encourages its owner to get behind the wheel and enjoy every mile. Number 8. This 1979 Ford Thunderbird Heritage is a classic personal luxury coupe that represents an era when comfort, elegance, and smooth highway cruising mattered just as much as performance. Unlike the muscle cars that often dominate the collector market, this Thunderbird was built to provide a refined driving experience, and judging by the seller's description, this particular example has been remarkably well preserved. Finished in blue with a matching blue interior, the car carries the unmistakable styling of the late 1970s. The long hood, formal roofline, and generous chrome trim give it the kind of road presence that defined American luxury coupes of the period. The monochromatic blue color scheme also adds to its period-correct appearance, making it look very much like a showroom car from the end of the 70s. One of the most impressive aspects of this Thunderbird is its ownership history. According to the seller, it has had only one owner from new and has always been garage kept. That kind of history is becoming increasingly difficult to find, especially for vehicles that are now approaching 50 years old. Long-term ownership often means the car received consistent care rather than passing through multiple hands with different levels of maintenance. The odometer reportedly shows just 35,000 miles, which is exceptionally low for a 1979 model. While buyers should always verify mileage on any classic vehicle, if accurate, it would certainly help explain the outstanding condition described in the listing. The seller even refers to the car as being in showroom condition, suggesting that both the exterior and interior have remained largely untouched over the years. Another important detail is that the Thunderbird is said to be completely original. In today's collector market, originality is becoming increasingly valuable, especially for well-preserved survivor cars. Rather than being heavily modified or restored, this example appears to retain the character and authenticity that Ford intended when it first rolled off the assembly line. The seller also notes that the vehicle is in excellent condition with a clean title and no known significant mechanical or structural issues. Although the listing doesn't provide extensive technical details, the overall presentation suggests this is a turnkey classic that can be enjoyed immediately without requiring major restoration work. In my opinion, this Thunderbird is appealing because it represents a different side of classic American motoring. It isn't trying to be a drag car or a corner-carving performance machine. Instead, it celebrates the comfort and luxury that made personal luxury coupes so popular during the late 1970s. For collectors who appreciate originality and preservation over extensive modifications, cars like this are becoming increasingly desirable. At an asking price of $10,000, this 1979 Ford Thunderbird Heritage appears to be a very attractive value if its condition matches the seller's description. Finding a one-owner, garage-kept, all-original example with such low mileage is no easy task, and restoring a lesser car to this standard would likely cost far more than the asking price. For anyone looking for a comfortable, highly original American classic that captures the spirit of its era, this Thunderbird Heritage looks like an excellent opportunity. Number 9. 1966 Plymouth Fury. The 1966 Plymouth Fury is one of those full-size American classics that often gets overlooked, but it offers a unique combination of elegant styling, dependable engineering, and vintage Mopar character. During the mid-1960s, the Fury was positioned as Plymouth's premium full-size model, delivering plenty of comfort while still offering the performance and presence buyers expected from American cars of the era. Today, clean, unmodified examples are becoming increasingly difficult to find, especially those with documented long-term ownership. This particular Fury is finished in blue with a matching blue interior, creating a classic color combination that perfectly reflects the styling trends of the 1960s. The car's clean body lines, generous chrome accents, and long proportions give it a refined appearance without looking overly flashy. It's the kind of classic that draws attention through its authenticity rather than aggressive styling. One of the biggest highlights of this listing is the ownership history. According to the seller, this Fury has remained with its original owner since new and has accumulated just 89,000 original miles. In my opinion, that's a significant selling point. A one-owner classic often provides buyers with greater confidence because it usually means the car has been cared for consistently rather than passing through numerous hands over the decades. Under the hood sits Chrysler's respected 318 Poly V8, an engine often nicknamed the Poly because of its polyspherical combustion chamber design. Although it was eventually replaced by the more familiar LA Series 318, the Poly engine has earned a loyal following among Mopar enthusiasts thanks to its smooth performance, durability, and distinctive character. The seller states that the engine runs great, suggesting the car remains mechanically healthy and ready to be enjoyed. Another encouraging detail is that the car has reportedly been garage-kept throughout its life. Indoor storage can make a tremendous difference for any classic vehicle, helping preserve the paint, chrome, interior, and body while minimizing exposure to moisture and harsh weather. Combined with its clean title and original ownership history, this Fury appears to have lived a relatively well-protected life. Personally, what I like most about this car is its originality. Rather than being heavily modified or transformed into a modern restomod, it seems to remain very close to the way Plymouth originally built it. There's something special about driving a classic that still delivers the same relaxed cruising experience people enjoyed nearly 60 years ago. Overall, I think this 1966 Plymouth Fury is an excellent example of an honest, well-preserved American classic. The one-owner history, original 318 Poly V8, garage-kept condition, and relatively low mileage all add to its appeal. At an asking price of $15,000, it offers an attractive opportunity for someone who appreciates vintage Mopar engineering and wants a dependable classic cruiser with authentic character rather than a heavily modified show car. Number 10. This 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Coupe. Few American muscle cars are as instantly recognizable as the first-generation Chevrolet Camaro, and this 1968 Coupe is a great example of why these cars continue to be so desirable. Located in Charlotte, North Carolina, this Camaro is listed for $42,500 and appears to have been owned by someone who prioritized careful maintenance and originality rather than turning it into an over-the-top custom build. Under the hood is the original numbers matching 327 cubic inch V8 producing 210 horsepower through a two-barrel carburetor, paired with Chevrolet's dependable Powerglide automatic transmission. While it isn't the highest performance combination offered in 1968, the 327 has earned a reputation for being smooth, reliable, and enjoyable for everyday cruising. The seller has upgraded the ignition to a breakerless electronic system for improved reliability while still preserving the car's mostly factory-correct character. One of the strongest selling points of this Camaro is the amount of documentation that comes with it. It includes a clear title, the original owner's manual, the factory Protecto plate, and an extensive collection of maintenance records and receipts. For many classic car buyers, paperwork like this is almost as valuable as the mechanical condition because it tells the story of how the car has been cared for over the years. Mechanically, this Camaro has received an impressive amount of attention. Over the past several years, numerous components have been replaced, including the suspension springs, shocks, steering box, steering linkage, brake lines, fuel system components, starter, alternator, voltage regulator, radiator hoses, transmission cooler lines, and much more. The seller even notes recent fluid services, including fresh engine oil, transmission service, and rear axle fluid replacement. That kind of preventative maintenance often says more about a car than a fresh paint job ever could. Visually, the Camaro wears tuxedo black paint accented by white front stripes, giving it an aggressive yet timeless appearance. Interestingly, the car originally left the factory in Matador red, so while the color has changed, the current black finish suits the first-generation Camaro's body lines exceptionally well. The seller also mentions that the paint was recently corrected and protected with a ceramic coating, helping preserve its appearance for years to come. Inside, the black bucket seat interior remains true to its original style, featuring the center console with the iconic horseshoe shifter, factory console clock, tilt steering column, and even the original AM radio. A hidden aftermarket radio tucked away in the glove compartment provides modern convenience without altering the dashboard's classic appearance, a thoughtful touch that many enthusiasts can appreciate. In my opinion, what makes this Camaro especially appealing isn't raw horsepower, it's the honesty of the entire package. The seller openly points out that the rear main seal has a slight oil seep, which tells me they're not trying to present the car as flawless. Instead, it feels like a genuine driver-quality classic that has been properly maintained and enjoyed over the years. That level of transparency often builds more confidence than exaggerated claims of perfection. Overall, this 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Coupe appears to be a well-documented, mechanically sorted, and highly usable first-generation Camaro. With its numbers-matching drivetrain, extensive service history, and classic styling, it offers the kind of ownership experience many enthusiasts are searching for, a vintage muscle car that's ready to be driven and appreciated rather than spending months in the workshop. Number 11. The 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle. In my opinion, this 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle is exactly the kind of project that appeals to enthusiasts who enjoy building a classic muscle car rather than simply buying one that's already finished. It isn't a perfect, fully restored showpiece, but it appears that much of the expensive mechanical work has already been completed, leaving the next owner with the opportunity to focus primarily on the cosmetic side of the restoration. The biggest highlight of this Chevelle is what sits under the hood. It's powered by a 396 cubic inch big block Chevrolet V8 fitted with 454 cylinder heads and backed by a 4-speed manual transmission. That combination alone gives the car serious muscle car credibility. The 396 has always been one of Chevrolet's most respected big block engines, delivering plenty of torque and the unmistakable sound that enthusiasts expect from a classic Chevelle. Paired with a manual gearbox, it promises a much more engaging driving experience than an automatic, putting the driver fully in control of all that big block power. What also caught my attention is the impressive list of upgraded components. The seller mentions an Edelbrock 750 carburetor, Willwood front disc brakes, a heavy-duty driveshaft, an aluminum radiator with electric cooling fans, a Dakota digital gauge cluster, a completely new wiring harness, and an upgraded suspension. Those aren't inexpensive modifications, and together they suggest that someone invested significant time and money into making the car mechanically reliable and capable of handling the power. The interior has also started receiving attention, with new bucket seats already installed, while a new carpet is included but not yet fitted. In addition, several new exterior parts, including a front grille, trim pieces, headlight bezels, and weather stripping, come with the car. Having those components already purchased can save both money and time during the restoration process. The seller is also very transparent about the car's condition, which I always appreciate. The body is described as generally solid, but it does have a few small dents, some minor rust in the trunk pan, the driver's side front pillar, and a small rust hole in the hood. The rear wheel openings were modified years ago during the car's drag racing days to accommodate wider tires, so anyone looking for a completely factory original appearance should keep that in mind. Personally, I don't necessarily see that as a negative. It actually adds a bit of history and character, reminding you that this Chevelle wasn't built just to sit in a garage, it was built to perform. One detail buyers should pay attention to is that the car comes with only a bill of sale rather than mentioning a title. Depending on the state where it will eventually be registered, that could require additional paperwork, so it's definitely something I'd verify before making a purchase. At an asking price of $16,500, I think this 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle offers a lot of potential. Building a big block 4-speed Chevelle from scratch today would cost substantially more than the asking price, especially when you consider the value of the upgraded mechanical components already installed. While the body still needs paint and finishing work, the hard part of the project may already be behind it. Overall, I believe this is a very appealing opportunity for someone who wants a genuine hands-on restoration without starting from a complete basket case. Finish the bodywork, complete the interior, and you'll have a classic Chevelle with big block power, modern upgrades, and a personality that reflects both its muscle car heritage and its old-school drag racing roots. Number 12. 1972 Chevrolet Nova. In my opinion, this 1972 Chevrolet Nova is exactly what many classic muscle car enthusiasts are searching for. A solid, driver-quality car with tasteful performance upgrades that can be enjoyed immediately without the pressure of owning a concours-level showpiece. Rather than hiding in a climate-controlled garage, this Nova appears to have been built for cruising, local car shows, and plenty of seat time behind the wheel. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, this Nova is listed for $28,900 and shows 57,363 miles on the odometer. Finished in eye-catching Hugger orange over a black interior, it has the unmistakable look of a classic Chevrolet muscle car. Personally, I think Hugger orange is one of the best colors ever offered on Chevrolet performance cars. It gives the Nova an aggressive appearance that perfectly matches its V8 personality. Power comes from a 350 cubic inch small block Chevrolet V8, backed by the dependable TH350 automatic transmission. The engine has been upgraded with an Edelbrock aluminum intake manifold and matching Edelbrock carburetor, helping improve airflow and throttle response over a stock setup. An aluminum radiator has also been installed, providing better cooling efficiency, especially during warm weather cruising or stop-and-go traffic. One detail I really like is the camshaft upgrade combined with full-length headers and a dual exhaust system. According to the seller, the car sounds great, and that's something I can easily believe. A healthy small-block Chevy with a mild performance cam and long-tube headers produces one of the most recognizable exhaust notes in the classic car world. In my opinion, that's part of the experience that makes a car like this so enjoyable every time you start the engine. The Nova is also equipped with power steering and power front disc brakes, two features that significantly improve the driving experience. These upgrades make the car easier to maneuver and provide much more confidence when driving in modern traffic. Combined with the proven 10-bolt rear axle, the drivetrain remains both simple and durable, making maintenance relatively straightforward. Visually, the car rides on 15-inch weld draglight wheels, a classic choice that has been associated with street and strip cars for decades. Personally, I think they fit the Nova's personality perfectly, giving it an authentic muscle car stance without looking overly modern. The seller is very honest about the car's condition, describing it as a solid driver with good quality paint rather than a flawless show car. I actually appreciate that level of transparency. Driver quality classics often provide the best ownership experience because you can enjoy them without worrying about every tiny rock chip or scratch that might occur during a weekend cruise. Another interesting touch is the addition of SS-style hood and emblems. The seller clearly states that these were added for appearance only, which I think is the right approach. There's no attempt to misrepresent the car as a factory SS model, just a tasteful styling upgrade that gives it a more aggressive look. Inside, the black interior features high-back bucket seats and a floor-mounted shifter, creating a sporty cockpit that suits the car's character. Modern conveniences include a CD player along with aftermarket gauges for the tachometer, oil pressure, water temperature, and voltage. Those gauges are not only practical but also provide valuable information about the engine's health while driving. Personally, I think this Nova strikes an excellent balance between originality and sensible upgrades. It has enough performance modifications to make it exciting, while still retaining the dependable mechanical simplicity that has made small-block Chevrolet cars so popular for generations. Overall, this 1972 Chevrolet Nova appears to be a well-sorted street machine featuring a 350 V8, TH350 automatic transmission, Edelbrock performance upgrades, power steering, power disc brakes, aluminum radiator, long tube headers, dual exhaust, and classic Weld draglight wheels. In my opinion, it's an ideal choice for someone looking for a dependable, great-sounding muscle car that can be driven regularly, enjoyed at cruise nights, and appreciated for its honest driver quality character rather than its trophy-winning perfection. Number 13. This 1973 Chevrolet Nova is a classic American coupe that takes a different approach from many modified muscle cars on today's market. Rather than chasing massive horsepower or extensive customization, this Nova appears to focus on originality, preservation, and the kind of timeless character that appeals to collectors looking for an honest survivor. Finished in its factory styling with the exception of an added racing stripe, the car still retains much of the appearance that made the third-generation Nova such a popular choice during the early 1970s. Its clean lines and compact proportions give it the unmistakable look of a traditional Chevrolet muscle-era car, while the subtle stripe adds just enough personality without dramatically changing its original design. According to the seller, the Nova has traveled only 70,579 original miles and has spent most of its life being used at local car shows. Even more importantly, it has always been garage-kept, a detail that often plays a major role in preserving both the body and the interior of a classic vehicle. Combined with a clear title, those factors help paint the picture of a car that has been carefully maintained rather than simply stored away and forgotten. Power comes from the original 307 cubic inch V8 equipped with a 2-barrel carburetor. While its factory output of around 115 horsepower won't rival the big block muscle cars of the same era, the 307 has long been respected for its smooth operation, reliability, and easy maintenance. This isn't a drag strip machine. It was designed to be an enjoyable cruiser, and for many collectors, preserving the original drivetrain is actually part of the appeal. One particularly desirable feature is the factory air conditioning. Finding an early 70s Nova that still retains factory AC is always a welcome bonus, especially for owners who plan to drive the car during warmer months. The seller also mentions that the Nova runs and drives great, suggesting that it isn't just a display piece but a classic that can be enjoyed on the road as well. What really stands out is the emphasis on originality. Aside from the racing stripe, the seller describes the car as remaining all original. In today's collector market, originality is becoming increasingly valuable because untouched examples continue to become harder to find each year. Many Novas have been modified into high-horsepower street machines, so seeing one that has largely remained true to its factory configuration makes it a bit more unique. In my opinion, this Nova would appeal most to someone who appreciates authenticity over outright performance. Not every classic needs a huge engine swap or modern upgrades to be enjoyable. Sometimes there's something special about driving a car that still reflects the way it left the factory more than 50 years ago. That originality, combined with the low mileage, garage-kept history, and clean overall presentation, gives this Nova a charm that's difficult to duplicate. At an asking price of $30,000, the value will ultimately depend on how closely the car's condition matches the seller's description. However, if it truly is a largely original, garage-kept Nova with documented low mileage, factory air conditioning, and excellent drivability, it could be an attractive opportunity for collectors who prefer well-preserved classics over heavily modified builds. It's a car that celebrates preservation rather than reinvention, and that's exactly what makes it stand out. Number 14. 1966 Oldsmobile Cutlass Convertible. The 1966 Oldsmobile Cutlass Convertible represents a time when American cars blended style, comfort, and V8 performance into one elegant package. While many enthusiasts immediately think of the 442 when Oldsmobile is mentioned, the standard Cutlass has quietly earned its own loyal following over the years. Its clean body lines, tasteful chrome trim, and refined design make it one of the most attractive mid-size convertibles of the mid-1960s. This particular example is finished in black with a matching black interior, giving the car a timeless appearance that never seems to go out of style. Black paint highlights the Cutlass's crisp body lines while adding a level of sophistication that fits the car's personality perfectly. With the convertible top folded down, it delivers exactly the kind of classic American cruising experience that many collectors look for today. One of the biggest highlights of this listing is that the car reportedly retains its matching numbers drivetrain. In the collector car world, that's always a desirable feature because it preserves the vehicle's originality and historical integrity. According to the seller, the Cutlass has never been fully restored, making it an unusually well-preserved survivor rather than a car that has been completely rebuilt from the ground up. The seller also explains that the original paint has simply been professionally buffed rather than repainted. Personally, I think that's one of the most appealing aspects of this car. Original paint, even with a few signs of age, often tells a much more authentic story than a fresh restoration. It shows the car has been cared for throughout its life instead of being stripped down and refinished. Mechanically, the seller states that the car runs and drives very well, suggesting it's ready to be enjoyed immediately instead of requiring major repairs. Another feature that stands out is the working air conditioning. Cold AC isn't something you find on every mid-1960s convertible, and having a functional system can make summer cruising much more enjoyable, especially in warmer climates. With only about 15,000 miles showing on the odometer, the car certainly presents itself as a lightly driven example, although, as with many classics of this age, the actual mileage should always be verified through documentation if originality is a priority. Personally, what I like most about this Cutlass is its honesty. It isn't advertised as an over-restored concours car or an aggressively modified restomod. Instead, it appears to be a genuine survivor that has been carefully preserved while remaining fully usable. That combination of originality and drivability is becoming harder to find every year. Overall, I think this 1966 Oldsmobile Cutlass convertible is an excellent choice for someone who values authenticity over perfection. The matching numbers drivetrain, original paint, cold air conditioning, and strong running condition make it a very attractive classic cruiser. At an asking price of $31,500, it seems to offer a solid balance between collector appeal, originality, and the simple enjoyment of owning a well-preserved American convertible. Number 15. This 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Yenko Tribute. For many muscle car enthusiasts, few names carry as much weight as Yenko. Genuine Yenko Chevelles are incredibly rare and command prices that most collectors can only dream about, which is exactly why tribute builds have become so popular. This 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Yenko Tribute, located in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, is listed at $53,000 and appears to have been built with performance as the main priority while capturing the aggressive spirit of the legendary originals. At the heart of the car is a massive 427 cubic inch big block Chevrolet V8 featuring approximately 9.5:1 compression. The engine is equipped with steel oval port cylinder heads, a mild crane hydraulic camshaft, full roller rocker arms, and a Wien single-plane aluminum intake topped by an Edelbrock 700 CFM carburetor. Supporting components include an MSD electronic ignition system, a Moroso high-volume oil pump, a 7-quart oil pan, and an upgraded harmonic balancer, all working together to create a durable street-oriented big block with serious performance potential. Backing the engine is a freshly built turbo 400 automatic transmission fitted with a B&M shift kit, a 2,600 revolutions per minute stall converter, an auxiliary transmission cooler, and a deep fin transmission pan to help manage heat during spirited driving. Power is delivered through a rebuilt 12-bolt rear axle equipped with an Eaton Posey differential and aggressive 4.11 Richmond gears, a combination that promises quick acceleration while still maintaining the rugged durability expected from a classic muscle car. The rest of the drivetrain continues the performance theme. The car features power steering, power front disc brakes, front and rear sway bars, a 4-core radiator for improved cooling, and a dual exhaust system with an H-pipe and MagnaFlow mufflers. Altogether, the setup suggests this Chevelle was built to be driven and enjoyed rather than simply displayed at local shows. Inside, the cabin maintains a traditional muscle car appearance with black strato bucket seats, a center console, a horseshoe-style shifter, tilt steering, and a rosewood steering wheel. Additional auxiliary gauges for oil pressure and engine temperature have been mounted beneath the dashboard, providing extra information while preserving the classic look of the interior. According to the seller, all of the major electrical accessories, including the lights, gauges, horn, and heater, are fully functional, which is always encouraging in a classic vehicle. One thing worth mentioning is that this is clearly presented as a Yenko tribute rather than an authentic Yenko-built Chevelle. That distinction is important because genuine Yenko cars are among the rarest and most valuable American muscle cars ever produced. A tribute allows enthusiasts to enjoy the appearance and performance-inspired theme without paying the extraordinary prices associated with an original. In my opinion, that's exactly what makes this car appealing. It doesn't try to hide what it is. Instead, it embraces the idea of delivering the excitement of a legendary muscle car through a thoughtfully assembled performance package. The combination of the 427 big block, turbo 400 transmission, 4.11 gears, and numerous supporting upgrades suggests a car that would be just as enjoyable on a weekend cruise as it would be pulling into a local cars and coffee event. Overall, this 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Yenko Tribute appears to be a serious big-block street machine with a long list of quality components and classic muscle car attitude. While it isn't an original Yenko, it offers much of the visual presence and driving excitement enthusiasts admire, making it an attractive option for anyone looking to experience the spirit of one of Chevrolet's most legendary performance icons.